Hey there everyone, thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Alright, I'm going to make this a quick one for you guys today because my nose will just not stop, super congested, and I don't want you guys to hear me sniffle for like 10 minutes. So I'm going to try to make this quick. Today we're going to be talking about All These Monsters by Amy Tintera. And I have to say I love this novel because I love the subtext. I love the important issues that it's dealing with, and I love the depth that it gives the story. I think I've said this before in previous podcasts, or if you've read my reviews, or if you've watched my new YouTube videos, you know I appreciate depth. I appreciate authors using a different medium to tell their stories, to highlight important issues in society. And in this novel we are talking about, abuse, being in abusive relationships and parental abuse. So the novel follows 17-year-old Clara, and the setting in this novel, it's pretty similar to our reality. It's not super fantasy, but it is more science fiction. There are subterranean monsters that do come out and attack, without prejudice. They just attack and swarm. So we don't know why they're called Scrabs, and they are pretty terrifying monsters. So these are the literal monsters in the story. Here's the thing. Clara is 17, she's considered a minor. She decides to join an international monster fighting squad in order to escape her abusive father. And that just speaks volumes to me when I was reading it. It's like, wow, this girl is so desperate to escape her abusive household that she is willing to risk her life fighting unpredictable, violent, and terrifying monsters that can kill you in a second. And that is what I thought was really powerful about this story, because she's not even an only child. She does have an older brother. Thankfully, her older brother, he does help her when he can, and she has a mother. And now, I don't understand her mother. She just lets this man come back into the house, and it's not like this abuse is a uncommon occurrence. I mean, they do mention it in the novel that her mom goes to Home Goods, she gets portraits, whatever, and I'm assuming Home Goods, but she goes and she gets paintings and portraits to put over the holes that her father has put in the walls. And the most recent one is, he put Clara's head through a wall, and it's drywall. She didn't need to be hospitalized, but I mean, he could have killed her, and the mom kicked him out, but she's so willing to let him back in. So clearly this is not a safe household for Clara. Her mother is an enabler, and her mother is blind. She's I don't understand, when you see abuse happening, I don't understand this mentality of making excuses for the other person. Maybe it's because I haven't been in that position, but if your significant other or your partner, is a bully and abusing other people, either mentally or emotionally or physically, I mean, it's your job to highlight their behavior. And then if they turn on you, well, then that's your notice to be like, okay, this person's not a good person. I don't need them in my life. I understand it, on some level I do understand it. And because, she lets him back in the house because she needs help paying bills and stuff like that. Her son was helping, but he got a job out of state, and it's just kind of, well, you're caught between the rock and a hard place. But I understand the need for financial stability, but I mean, this man could have killed her daughter, their daughter. And I think that that's heartbreaking, you know? I mean, especially right now with COVID, I do know a lot of people are out there stuck at home with their abusers. And it's a scary thought to think that we don't recognize the behavior, and we don't, you know, because Clara doesn't either. The last thing she wants is to be like her mother. And she meets a guy, and he seems great. And even I'm like, oh, this is a good guy. You know, he deletes her father's message. He doesn't send her back to live with her father, which is what was going to happen. He keeps her safe. He cares for her. But then you start to see the control. You start to see it. And I think it hits the reader as quickly as it hits Clara. You know, he gaslights her. He makes her feel guilty even though nothing's her fault. He's very controlling. He is not a good person. And it does take us not completely by surprise, because we are on this journey with Clara, and I like this journey that Clara's going on because it does highlight something for the reader as well. It allows the reader to recognize the abusive behavior alongside Clara. You know, when I was reading it again, I thought he was a great guy, and then, you know, you're reading it, you're starting to get uncomfortable by his behavior, and you're not really sure why, and then you're really seeing how terrible they are, you know? So you're seeing this abuse, you're coming to realize the abusive behavior alongside Clara, and I think that that's powerful writing. It's a really powerful journey to follow Clara on, and she does meet another survivor of an abusive household. He was physically abused by his mom and her boyfriends. I mean, she would just beat up on him and let her boyfriend, he does mention, you know, let her boyfriends burn cigarette butts on his arms. So I also do like that this highlighting of, it doesn't matter your gender, you can be a victim, you can be an abuser, and I think that that's very powerful. I really do think that there is kind of this double standard. Women are always the victims and women are not the abusers, or women cannot be the abusers. Statistically, in my research, it is, you know, I would say 75% of the time it is men or people who identify as men, but there are still women abusers out there. You know, women are nuts. I say that as a woman. I'm always telling people, I'm like, look, women are crazy. We are. Let's just admit it. I have no shame in it. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm crazy. Deal with it. Tell that to my husband all the time. And he knows it, and I take it as a compliment whenever he says it to me, that I'm deranged, and I'm like, I know. We have a very weird, comfortable relationship, my husband and I. In case that wasn't already given away, but I think the human species as a whole is just nuts, because you're seeing in this novel that monsters don't always look like monsters. Monsters can be the boy or girl next door. They can be a parent. They can be a figure you would think is caring. And I think that that's powerful writing, because more often than not, the real monster is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I think that that's very powerful writing. I really do think that that's very powerful storytelling. And I have to admit, I loved it. You know, I really did love that aspect of the storytelling. And I like how we're seeing abuse. You know, I like how we're seeing victims as both male and female. I like how we're seeing the abusers as both male and female. Because I think we need to get it out of our heads that women are always going to be the victim. There are women out there who cry wolf, unfortunately. Just like there are going to be men victims. And both genders can be victims, both genders can be abusers. And I think we really need to start realizing that as a society, that it's not just women. I'm not speaking from experience. I personally don't really know anyone who's been in an abusive relationship. I've been in toxic relationships, but that's completely different. I think, I don't know. I think being in a toxic relationship is somewhat abusive because it's just not healthy. But it's not abusive in the way that we're talking about with regards to this story. So I just think All These Monsters by Amy Quintana, I think she did an excellent job with the storytelling. I really do. I think she highlights a lot of important issues with this storytelling, and I think she really does make a compelling narrative, and she really does highlight a lot of those markers for being in an abusive relationship. I mean, you read it and you think, oh, he's such a great guy, and you're kind of with her, and then you kind of want to yell at her like, no, don't feel guilty. You didn't do anything wrong. You are seeing it as the reader. And I think the best way to stop abusers is to start recognizing that abusive behavior early on. And I think that this novel really does teach readers how to recognize that abusive behavior and how to stop it. So this was All These Monsters by Amy Quintana. I'm going to go ahead and give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I do think it is very fast paced. I do enjoy the storytelling. I do enjoy the narrative. I just can't quite give it that final push to a 5-star. There is something holding me back. It didn't completely blow me away, and that's pretty much it. Otherwise, I think it is an excellent book. I highly recommend purchasing this book. I highly recommend putting this book in a book club and sitting around and discussing it so that we can all analyze the behavior and the mindset of these characters. So please purchase the book from your local bookseller or your online book retailer. Please, if you can, avoid buying it off of Amazon. Purchase off of Bookshop, Books of Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, Books A Million. Purchase from your online book retailer if you're unable to go to the bookstore. If money's tight, please support your local library by purchasing the book from by checking out the book from your local library. And I hope you all will continue to support me by liking this podcast and sharing it with all your book-loving friends. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.